Good afternoon. I first met Julie in 2007 when she arrived at Webb School of Knoxville as a Rotary youth exchange student from Ukraine. I was immediately impressed by this 16-year-old who jumped into student life by becoming a Webb cheerleader. I think that was a first, maybe a last. Participated in the school musicals back in 1976 and fully embraced American life. Julie became very close with two of her West Coast families, and over the past 15-16 years, she came back on a couple of occasions, and so I was able to keep in touch. And through Facebook, I enjoyed following Julie's life back in Ukraine as she studied at the university, then got a job, met and married her now husband Dima, and finally, as they grew their beautiful family to include Mark, who's 4, and Polly, who is 2. But as you know, a little over a year ago, the lives of millions of Ukrainians were turned upside down, and many families fled for their lives. Julie, her mother, Mark and Polly, found their way to Slovakia, where they were embraced by the Rotary Club of Vilnius, and supported by the family of another Webb Rotary Youth Exchange student, Ivana, who came from Slovakia a year after Julie. And that's why I love Rotary. I'm constantly impressed how the global Rotary family embraces and helps each other in times of crisis. Julie and her children were able to move to Knoxville last August via the Uniting for Ukraine visa program. And Dr. Bill Nichols, who's here with us today, and the Farragut Rotary folks joined forces with Julie's former host family, Dinah and Bill Vogel, to fly them over. And since then, they have continued to provide Julie and her family with friendship, love, emotional, and financial support. The Rotary Club of Farragut Foundation continues to this day to help collect donations to help Julie and the children live here. Obviously, her husband, Dima, has had to stay back in Ukraine along with the other men in the armed forces. So it's a pleasure today for us to hear from this brave, resilient, smart young woman and mother. She is an inspiration to me every single day. So please help me welcome Julie Tryukhan.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to see y'all again. We met, when was it? Back in October, I think. So I've been looking for this moment for a while now. So thank you for having me today. It's truly an honor. So yeah, I would like to share a story with us. You know, life brings us different experiences. Some are happy, some are sad, and some are just life-changing. I've had them all, but today I want to talk about the life-changing ones. 16 years ago, I made one of the best decisions in my entire life. I became the Rotary Youth Exchange student, and my mom, she still cannot believe that she let me fly all the way across the globe to the unknown when I was only 16, and she thinks it was crazy, but now she will agree to me that it was one of the best decisions ever made. It's not working. It's this side. Yeah, so Liz mentioned some of the things that I did back then, but it was truly a magical year, and I tried to soak in every single bit of it. I stayed with 3 different families. I went to Webb School of Knoxville and just had the time of my life there. I tried to embrace this experience, and I tried to get involved in as many activities as I possibly could to experience what it was like to be an American teenager. I guess there are more pictures from that year. And, you know, I made great friends, who I am friends with to this day. But most importantly, I became a part of the Rotary family, and I met the kindest and the most amazing people in the whole world. As you know, yes, the life turned upside down on February 24th for all the Ukrainians, including my family. Before that, our life was just normal. It was pretty routine. You know, just working, raising kids, getting ready to celebrate Holly's first birthday, saving money to buy a house, just a normal, happy life. But that morning at 5 a.m., we woke up to the sound of explosion. We were confused because we were sleepy and we didn't know what was going on. And then 6 more explosions followed, and we checked the news. We realized what it was, and we were just terrified. We couldn't get out of the city that morning because that's what everybody else was doing, and it was just it seemed impossible because the roads were packed and we didn't have enough gas because we were not prepared for the full scale invasion. So we stayed. And that night, the missile hit a residential building on the street that was parallel to ours. And that's what it looked like. And that night, my husband and I were taking turns sleeping. So I was awake and I actually saw the explosion from our window, and I had to wake everybody up, and we had to run to the basement of our building. Our apartment building looked just like that one. So that's what we did. And I know it maybe sounds easy, but waking up to little kids, packing them in their winter clothes because it was freezing, it was a challenge. So we went to the basement, and I don't know what you think of when you hear the basement of the apartment building, but that's what it looks like. Yeah, and we spent 3 more nights there, just like that, sleeping on the floor. And it was really scary. So we stayed there until we realized that it was actually not the safest place to stay at, because it's not an actual bomb shelter. There's only one entrance, there is no water access, and if something happened to the building and it actually crumbled, that place would become a trap, because we would be under the rubble and it would be impossible to get out. So we decided to stay in our apartment and just wait for the chance to get out of the city. And we got it. It was the evacuation train to Lviv. That's what the evacuation trains looked like back then. That's not the one that we got on. That was in Kyiv, but that still gives you an idea that it was just bizarre. So many people. The wagons have little compartments for 4 people. So the train we were on, there were 9 people in our compartment, 15 people in the one next to ours, and the hallways were packed. People were standing there with all their stuff, all their kids, pets, all their belongings, and it was crazy. And we had to go in complete darkness, with all the lights off, the blinds shut down, and even the phone screen light was not allowed, because that was the way for the train to sort of camouflage so that it doesn't become a target for the missiles. So yeah, I can say that it was the longest probably, but definitely the darkest night in our life. So we got to Lviv, and it felt safe back then. We spent the night there, but in the morning we woke up to the sound of the air raid siren. That's when we knew that we had to move further west. So yeah, we were originally in Kyiv. We went to Lviv, and then we realized that we had some very, very distant relatives in Russia, And they were the ones who got in touch and, offered to stay at their house, so that's where we went. And, sorry. Yeah, and, it also, Uzhgorod not only felt safe back then, it felt like there was still life. There were people out in the streets, all the restaurants open, businesses functioning, and, you know, life felt normal again, kind of. So yeah, we stayed there for 2 more weeks until, one night, it was 3 in the morning. We heard a sound of the air raid sirens again, and that's when we realized that nowhere in Ukraine was safe anymore. And, just so you know what it sounds like, I want to play it for you. And it can go on like that for an hour, 4 hours, 5 hours. And as long as the sirens are on, that means that the missiles are going your way and you have to hide it. And to show you what exactly we were running from, I have another video. Just so you know, every single building in that video, that's a residential building, and somebody's home was once. So yeah, I didn't want my kids to hear that awful sound. I didn't want our life to be like that. I didn't want to live in constant fear, so we decided to leave. And we went to Slovakia because it just made sense. It was the closest place to go. And, you know, if I could go to Knoxville back then, Knoxville would have been my #1 choice, always. But we went to Slovakia, and that's where my connection to the Rotary Club worked out in the most unbelievable way. So Ivana Sabatova, she was the exchange student at Webb the year after me. We had never met, we had never talked to each other, we had never been in touch. But I knew that she was from Slovakia, that was it. And so yeah, when we decided to go there, I thought, oh, I know someone from Slovakia, I'm gonna try and see and reach out to them. So I messaged her, of course she doesn't live in Slovakia anymore. but her parents do, and her father is a Rotarian there, and she connected me to him, and hit her family and their local Rotary Club of Dima. They welcomed us in Slovakia and made sure that we got all the support and help that we needed. And my family was concerned at first because going to a different country where you don't know anybody with 2 kids can be kind of scary. But as soon as we found out that Rotary got involved, everybody was relieved because we knew at that moment that, okay, we can trust these people for sure. And as soon as we knew that the Farragut Rotary Club got involved, everybody was just shocked about just how magically this connection worked out. So we went to Slovakia. We stayed there for 4.5 months. My kids were finally safe, but it always felt like something temporary. Which is why when the US launched this program, United for Ukraine, I was so happy. And I reached out to my host family, Bill and Dima, and they did not hesitate for a second to say, yes, we'll help you with the paperwork, and we'll get you to Knoxville. So I will be forever thankful for that and for having them in my life. And we had a long journey ahead, but my heart was and is still torn because we had to leave our husband behind. And I keep hearing how, oh, you had to make this decision. I'll tell you what, you saw that video, and when your children's life is at stake, such decisions, they come easy, and we didn't even think twice about it with my husband. So we left and he stayed. That's the way it was. But there is a whole side story of what happened to him. When we went to Uzbekistan, when there's martial law and you travel within the country, you have to go to the local military administration office and just check in that you're there in case they need you. So that's what he did. He went, but they were like, oh, we want you, you start in a day. So yeah, he was drafted, and we were told back then that their troop would not be deployed because, they did not have any military experience whatsoever. 90% of his troop, they didn't have any military background. So we were told that they would not get sent anywhere near the front line. But I guess, and yeah, that's illogical, but I guess when there is war, life is very unpredictable, and sometimes there's no logic whatsoever. They got deployed and they were sent not to just any front line. They were sent to what's called point zero. If you can see that blue arrow, that's where they were. And that was, back then, it was one of the scariest areas on the front line. Just that encirclement, it was closing. And he fought in the front line for 2.5 months. And we lost touch with him. Sometimes he would be out of touch for 2 weeks. And that was probably the hardest part of this whole journey, because I would just wake up wondering if he's even alive, if my kids are going to see his dad again. So that was hard. But they eventually were sent back to the western part of Ukraine because there were only 50% left of their troop. So they were sent back for regrouping, and we managed to get him transferred to a different unit so he didn't have to go back to fight on the front line. Of course, there's no guarantee. I mean, if they tell you how to go, you go. But he has been serving in the western part of Ukraine since August, and that was a relief. And he is in a relatively safe area now, and I just keep praying that it stays that way. And we get to talk to him every other day on FaceTime. Thank God for FaceTime. But yeah, And, I told you that my husband didn't have any military background, but I kind of want to talk for a minute about the background we both do have. We met 13 years ago at work. We have been working in the same company all this time. It's the Ukrainian IT company. Before the full-scale invasion, Dima was a marketing specialist and he was the lead of his own project in our company. I was and still am working in human resources. I've been in HR for 7 years now. But I mostly work with the HR software. It's the system I implemented in our company to work with the employee data and all the people management processes information. So yeah, Dima played in a rock band and it was a successful rock band. They had this Linkin Park tribute act that they toured with across the Europe. So he really enjoyed that part of his life. And fun fact, we used to play in a rock band together. We played the guitar and I played the drums. So we enjoyed snowboarding and, you know, as you can see, we were far from anything military. When Dima was growing up, he didn't have any military themed toys. Mark didn't have any military themed toys, and it was our decision to get him away from this concept, this topic for as long as we could. Now he wants to go to a military store and buy a tank. So, and Dima actually was an exchange student in Texas for a different program though. And it used to be our dream to come to the US and maybe move here. And you know, they say when you dream of something, you have to be very specific to make it come true. So I guess we were not specific enough. Now we are. I cannot wait for the day that he gets released, and unfortunately, nobody knows when that's going to happen because there's no end to what's going on. But I'm sure that day will come. Ukraine will win. He'll get released, and the little ones will get to hug him again, and we'll be all together. So yeah, Dima's parents are in Ukraine right now. They're safe. They've been okay. My parents live in Crimea. It's that peninsula that has been occupied for 9 years now. So my parents still live there, and my two brothers do, which makes it even more difficult for me because sometimes we disagree on certain news. Yes. And my father, he's a former president of the Rotary Club, of their local Rotary Club, which stopped functioning for now. And had he never been a Rotarian, I guess you wouldn't have known me and I wouldn't be standing here today. So I will never get tired of saying how thankful I am that Rotary is a big part of my life. And Bill Vogel once said, you know, Julie, you did everything right. You and Dima, you both did. You got yourself educated, you got a job, you've been raising two beautiful children. So you did everything right. And what happened to you is unfair. And I burst into tears. Yes, it's unfair what's happening now. But I'm in no position to complain because we got out, we're safe, we get comfort, we have friends. What you saw in that video, that's still going on, and it happens every single day. So I consider ourselves to be lucky. And you know, yes, so far it has been the hardest year of our life, but something good did come out of it. We made it here, we made it to Knoxville, and Knoxville feels like a hometown to me. And we have been living here for almost 9 months now. And yeah, just some of the highlights. And once again, soaking every single wonderful moment, and my kids are enjoying it here so much. And that, I guess, kind of warms my heart, and I'm glad that we managed to get here. And we don't feel like refugees anymore. And that's a very good feeling, I gotta tell you. And the amount of help we have received is just overwhelming, and it's unbelievable, and we'll be forever thankful for everything that Rotary Club has done for us and for the amazing community of Knoxville. The Farragut Rotary Club helped us get here and bought our plane tickets. The Volunteer Rotary Club of Knoxville, together with this organization called Volunteer Rides, they helped us with the car. And you know, if you don't have a car in Knoxville, you pretty much don't have a lot. And the response from the community was just amazing, and I cannot believe that it's been happening to us, and sometimes I feel like they don't deserve it. But yeah, we had people raise money for us and donate furniture. It's just people made sure that we had everything that we could possibly need to settle down here and get comfort. So it's just a blessing to know that there are so many kind and beautiful hearts around us. And yeah, there's some advice that I have for you, and it's the main things that this war has taught me. First is cherish every single moment with your loved ones and make sure to tell them that you love them, because you never know what life is going to be like, and sometimes it's, yeah, someday you may not get that chance anymore. Don't take for granted what you have, because one day you may lose it all. And third, do not postpone your life. If you dream of something, if you have plans, make sure that you fulfill them, because time is precious, and you know how people wait for the right time. It may never come, so just make sure that you do what makes you happy. And I talked to my husband the other day, and he said that he had a lot of thinking to do while he was all by himself, and when he was sleeping in the trenches, he had a lot of thinking to do. And he said that there is one thing he regrets the most in his entire life, not spending more quality time with his family on the weekends, being lazy to get out of the house and do something fun with the kids. Because you know, you're always too tired, there's always something going on, and you will prefer just staying on the couch watching Netflix instead of going out. So, and that's one thing that he regrets the most. So, and also the war makes you reevaluate your values. So now I do realize that life is the main value, life is precious. So make sure that you make yours exciting and happy. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. It's my honor and my pleasure. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And I do ask you to keep Ukraine in your prayers, because it's not over. It's not going to be over for a long time. So yes, thank you.
Question. Thing that I'm very curious about, what does the average Russian citizen think about what's going on? Do you know people over there? Like, if you poll the average Russian citizen, do they support what the government's doing right now, or are they against it? Or are they kind of neutral?
I guess by now, a lot of people do support it, because you know, all their lives they've been taught that Russia is the greatest, it's undefeatable, they won the World War II, and I think that they cannot they cannot accept even the thought of being defeated in this war. So, a lot of people do support it. But there are also a lot of people who are against the war, but they're too afraid to say anything about it, because, you can't really say anything about it because you'll get arrested, and they're scared of that. And I talked to my brother, my older brother who lives in Crimea, and I asked him what he was thinking, and he has a lot of friends in Russia, like the mainland of Russia. And he said that people who don't have relatives in Ukraine, they don't really care. It's like, it's not their concern, it's not their war, it's far from their homes, so they don't care. And I asked him what he was thinking about Crimea being liberated. And they just don't believe it's gonna happen. They don't believe it's real, because it's been 9 years, and he said, he used this interesting term. He said, we've been Russified. And I guess they just adjusted to the way things are done in Russia, and it will be hard for them to change it back, but they don't even think about it. They think it's impossible. But everybody, I don't know a lot of people from Russia. My relatives live in Russia, my 2 cousins too. All they say is just how worried they are for us, and they don't support it, but also they don't do anything about it. They won't say anything about it.
Can you tell us about the U.S. program that you're here under?
The Uniting for Ukraine. This is a federal program that allows a 2-year stay. Under this program, you have to find a sponsor in the U.S. We didn't even have to apply. The sponsors had to apply to take part in this program. And they take financial responsibility for you. What else? I know, and they also, this program gives you the right to work, and that's what's my next step will be. I got my work authorization, and I'm determined to find a job here by August, when Mark will start kindergarten. Because I've been working for my Ukrainian company, but it's been quite challenging with the 7-hour time difference. So yes, hopefully Ukrainians who got here under this program will prove to be useful in the US, and this program will get extended. And hopefully when my husband gets released, it's still open and he can come here under the same program. But yeah, it's a great program, and besides the work authorization, it provides different benefits that you can get. Just we got enrolled in different federal programs as well, and yeah, it's been great. It's a lot better than what they offer in Slovakia.